From Rochester, New York, the home of Nighthawks Lacrosse, the Rochester Philharmonic, and Marge's Lakeside Inn, this is FC3 Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky. And since everything's geeky, and if you love it enough, you never know what you're going to get. Starring Chris, Tanya, and Billy. And here's your host, Chris Frank.
I'm loving it. We got a different one like every week, and then we'll rotate through them, kind of a thing.
Yeah, I like that.
I dig it. That is very cool.
There's still a lot of music, though. Ow, my microphone. It's falling.
It's gone limp. Oh, no.
That's not a microphone.
Oh, no. Hello, sports fans. We've missed you. We're back. It's old home week, and we've already lost Tanya. Tanya, are you dealing with a little bit of friction over there? Is that thing? Oh, okay.
I tell you.
What a great first impression we're leaving on people right now.
There's a problem over here.
All right, well, find the bolt to tighten it down, and you'll be fine.
Working on it.
Or you can lift the arm up.
Hold on to it.
Or you can
There you go.
Hopefully that worked.
That worked. That did great. That's
Technical
it.
difficulties
Should
today.
we start over and pretend that we're doing it for the first time?
I don't know. Did you hit the record button?
I did hit the record
Okay,
button.
so we're in good shape. Billy, how you doing over there?
I'm doing
Battered and-
amazingly well.
Battered and
Compared
bruised, but
to,
not broken.
Yeah, I've had an interesting couple weeks since we last spoke.
Oh, I know.
Billy has discovered that he has a new budding career as a stuntman.
Yeah.
You know, listening to your story on the radio that day, I was having flashbacks to April of 2016 when my
your
husband was hit by the car.
Oh, that's
when,
right.
When
Okay.
you said, I kind of turned and put my hands out. Yeah. You are not going to stop a car. Just like he did not stop the Ford F-150.
Yeah.
No.
I truly was having a whole sense of deja vu, and I'm just like...
So Billy, you were navigating a crosswalk in a legal fashion,
Yes,
and
I was.
He was legal.
and the car was not.
Well, we both were. He just didn't see me.
He didn't give the right of way to a pedestrian in the crosswalk.
Yeah, Main Street downtown, South Avenue turns into St. Paul.
Right.
So
I know exactly
I'm
where that is.
I'm on the South Avenue side. Lights red. He's on the St. Paul side in his car, and the light turns green, and I start to cross, and light turns green. He doesn't have a turn signal on, which is his faux pas in this matter, and starts turning, and I'm in front of him at this point. And I'm going, oh, crap, he's turning into me! And, stop!
And then you did a Dukes of Hazzard rolling over the hood.
No, it's Lee Majors and the Fall Guy.
Lee Majors and the Fall Guy.
Going
okay.
over the top of the car.
Okay.
Wow.
And I hit the top of his car, then I roll off that and land in the street, and it hurts, but I lay there for a second, and I go, let's see, I'm still alive, check. Move that's not broken. I didn't hit my head, so that's good.
Yeah.
And I stand up and I walk around. Well, my side hurts, but I don't think anything's broken.
That's good.
I'm good. He got out of the car. Oh, my God, I didn't see you. I'm so sorry. And he was very apologetic. And
did he stick around for like police reports and stuff?
He would have if I'd asked him to, but
Right.
I didn't ask him to. I think I'm good. And are you sure? Do you need my number? No, I'm good. I was shaken up. I probably should have taken his
Yeah, you
info.
probably weren't, got adrenaline going on at that moment.
As I sent the message to you, his insurance, his car insurance would have covered all medical bills for you from the time it starts until the time that whatever, because he's at fault. And
it turns out he hit me, or I hit him hard enough to where the front of his car was dented.
yeah,
there.
but still.
But no, I'm just saying
you
that
were in the crosswalk, and he didn't yield the right of way to a pedestrian in the crosswalk. And
But like I said, I was fine. I was shaken up, and I wasn't thinking clearly. I probably should have.
But then didn't you say you went to the bank and came back, and that's when...
The funny thing is, so afterwards, I was on my way to the M&T Bank down on Main Street. Mm-hmm. So after I get hit and I get up, okay, I'm good. And so I walk down to the bank still and pay my mortgage and another bill. And as I'm doing that, some cop cars and ambulances and things are gathering outside
because they're looking for you.
Well, that's at first it didn't hit me, but then
no, the car did.
The car did. Unintentional pun there.
Yeah,
and like the bank tellers notice, wow, there's things going on out there, and then it hits me. I bet they're looking for me. And so when I was done, I didn't say that out loud. I walked out of the bank and walked to the bus stop. I didn't
even look at them.
I felt like stopping to ask, are you looking for a guy in a Mets hoodie who got hit by a car?
I think he went that way.
This is a different Mets hoodie.
Yeah.
Different guy.
Yeah.
Still got hit by a car.
But I saw him, and he looked very handsome. But,
Well, you got some bruises to show for it, but you're all right overall.
yeah.
Yes, that's the important
and then
part.
Thursday, I had about a vertigo that knocked me out. And,
I've had that in the years, so yeah.
and it's awful.
Well,
It
we're
is.
Now I'm
glad,
feeling better.
we're
so.
glad that you're here. And
Yeah, I'm glad I'm here, too.
I'm probably more glad than we are.
I've had stories.
I tell you should now have Susan write a book.
Yeah, or me.
Are
Well,
you?
you know,
Yeah.
so if we do
isn't
the
she words in your math?
Yeah, something like that.
so if we do the question, what makes your geeky little heart happy? I'm going to say it's because Billy's here. He's,
Yes.
he's fine.
Something like that.
Oh.
So I've had. How are you guys?
We're good.
I don't have any adventures compared to you.
I got a new puppy at home,
I saw that. Juno.
Juno, the Wonder Mutt.
She's adorable.
She is cute, but you can tell she was rescued from a puppy mill. You could tell, you could see it in her
very
eyes.
skittish.
Yeah, 4 months. I got her when she was about 4.5 months old. She's been with me now for a couple of weeks, so we're figuring she's about 5 months old at this point. She's all up on her shots and everything, but you can tell just in those 4 months before she was rescued, that poor little girl's seen some stuff.
Is she used to you now?
She's
And
getting to.
Juliana
Yeah,
and Ian?
she's actually happier with Jules than with anybody else. So I'm assuming that she has adopted Jules. Ian has spent most of the last couple of weeks at his mother's house. So he comes in and he's like, "Yep, dog, cute, all right," and walks away. So she really is not used to him at all. And then she knows me as the provider of food, water, and walkies. So I rank just below Juliana at this moment in time.
Well, you rank above Juliana when Juliana's not there.
But only because
Because he's alone.
Juliana's not
yeah,
there.
yeah, because she has to settle is basically
Yeah.
what it is. But she's a cute little Velcro dog, man. I'm telling you, whenever I sit down, she's like right as close to my lap as she possibly can be.
That's awesome.
And she's found the joy of shoes.
She has found the joy of shoes. Yes, I have not lost a shoe to her yet, but I've come close a couple of times.
and laundry, I see.
God, you saw that?
She
You
just
read
wants
that?
to help.
Yeah.
She just wants to be helpful. No, I think the whole premise of that one is that whenever I get up and I go to somewhere, it's
You're
an age-old
leaving her.
story. The age-old story, the dog has to follow you the moment you get up. And there was at one point, I think what spurred me to write that Facebook post was the fact that I'm standing there, and I always bring laundry up to my room. I dump it out on the bed, and then I fold it. Well, I stand between me and my bed. I stand between my bed and my dresser. Yeah, I'm really doing well. It's like having a newborn in the house. I'm sleep deprived. At one point, I folded something, and then I turned around and opened up the drawer to put it in. I'm like right there, and she jumps right up, and she's like trying to follow me as I'm turning. I'm like, I am literally standing. I'm just turning in place, honey. I'm not going anywhere. And the look on her face was like, I just wanted to make sure I can go with you. And that's what spurred that's inspired me to write that Facebook post of the interaction between me and my dog.
Yeah, my cat Bob is that way when it's time to eat. Other than that, I think the cats just wait for Susan and I to leave our couches so
Yeah,
that,
they can take over.
Take the warm spots.
yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Tanya Fabulous?
Just gearing down the end of the school year.
You survived another one.
Yes, we did survive another
23 down, 20 more to go.
Well, I just finished 20 years at BOCES, so it's my 25th year of teaching.
25th year of teaching.
But only 20 in the New
And
York
you
State.
started when you were 3. That's
I
amazing.
That's amazing.
I
She
tell
was
ya.
a very bright child.
Yes. But I have at least 10 more years in the New York State retirement system before I can leave it.
Yeah,
so
I
they
will.
get me at 30.
I will not be hitting 30 with the New York State retirement system, because to do that I would have to be 69 years old, and I'm not going to be working that long in my life.
Well, in this day and age, who knows?
Yeah, well, I commonly joke at the office. This is my retirement party and my wake will be the same event.
Well, I mean,
Yep.
Yeah.
at 30 years, I'll only be 57. So
Right, you got to be at least 62, isn't it?
No, 55 to retire from BOCES, which gives me 28 years in the retirement system. 62 to collect Social Security. So you can still be retired after the age of 55, but you can't collect Social Security
Till 62.
like there'll be anything left.
Yeah, there won't be anything left.
So I could, I really could go 15 more years.
We have the best retirement service ever.
Yeah.
Ever. Biggest.
Yeah.
Greatest.
That's just another.
Yeah,
another
that's.
thing.
I have
And
a sneaking
it's not
suspicion.
necessarily his fault for Social Security. It's just been going down.
Yeah, well, it's because people have been abusing it since it was first created.
Right.
That's all there is to it.
It's like I'm like, hello. If I pay into the Social Security system, that should be coming back to me because I've been paying into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Shouldn't be anything missing.
Right.
Got it.
But that's just my. But I.
Yeah.
But
and
I
here we go. We're
understand
going. We're dipping
But
into.
I understand why these policies were created back in the was it the New Deal with FDR?
Right.
Did I
During
get
the
my right
Depression.
president?
You did.
Yay!
Congratulations.
I hate U.S. history.
I know, but I'm good at it, so I can go ahead and praise you for being correct.
I think Lewis and Clark invented that.
Lewis and Clark. Lewis and Clark, The Adventures of Superman?
Yeah.
That's the rate where I went to also.
Yeah. I'm trying desperately to bring this back to nerddom because if we stick to politics, we're never going to hang up today. Because we'll get going and we will rant and it will be bad.
You were talking about being sleep deprived because you have quote unquote a newborn in the house.
Yes.
I'm sleep deprived because somebody decided to introduce me to the World of Warcraft. And
you know what? I have taught
you. And you haven't been playing either.
I haven't been playing much lately, no. But I also know when to turn it off.
I can't now.
Just saying.
I'm just like one more. I'm just like one more area. More area.
How's that working out for you?
It was like 12:45 when I stopped this morning.
All right, 12:45. Okay, I've done that. I've played until 2:00 in the morning on a couple of occasions. All right. Anyway,
only because we had to be here.
We got business to do, so we're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we have an interview. We're gonna have the lovely and talented Krystina Arielle on the line, and she'll be chatting with us about cosplay and gaming. And this is June, and this is Women in Gaming Month, and she's a huge advocate for that. So we're looking forward to that conversation, and so we will bring that to you very, very shortly. Okay. She is a cosplayer, a singer, an entertainer, a gamer, an advocate, and at the moment, a carrier of precious cargo. It is Krystina Arielle. Krystina, thank you very much for joining us on the show this afternoon. How you doing over there?
I'm great. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Our former producer, our former producer Sherry is the one who introduced us and got the conversation going to bring you in. And she had told me about June being Women in Tabletop Month, and Krystina is an amazing advocate for it. I'm like, cool. I'm looking forward to this because one of the big that's my catnip is gaming. I've been one for like what 32 years at this point. I've been rolling dice and playing various games at this stage. And to have people advocating for inclusivity and making sure that everybody has an opportunity to come to the table and share in the experience is huge for me, because I've seen it from the dark ages to what's happening now, this great renaissance of everything that's been going on. So I really do appreciate it. And having your insight today is going to be awesome. So thank you for joining us today.
Well, again, thank you for having me. I love to talk about this. So I don't know if you've seen my Twitter. That's all I talk about. So it's nice. Inclusivity. It's important.
Exactly. I got a kick out of it because I saw your Instagram, and the Batgirl dance that you posted last night was especially awesome.
I just ran on it. It's like last week I did. It's like because each Saturday is when it's 26 weeks today or 27 weeks pregnant. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm just going to start putting my cosplays on. So last week it was Captain Marvel, and this week I was like, I'm going to do the Batusi, but do the Batgirl version.
Now you have, about 12 weeks left at this point?
13.
See, as a guy, I'm very I have 2 kids of my own, but I really didn't pay attention. I just kind of stood around until they showed up. It's terrible.
We all know your wife did the heavy lifting.
She did, really, literally, in one case, because my son was 8 pounds, 12 ounces when he was born. So... yeah, there was definitely some heavy lifting going on.
Chris. What are you
doing? Here's the balancing factor. My daughter was 5 pounds 9 ounces. So your son, you're having a boy, right? If I remember reading your Twitter correctly. Mm-hmm. Okay, Ezekiel. Did I catch the name right?
Yes, Ezekiel Phillips.
I pay attention when I do my research. I pay attention. Oh, I'm so excited and this is your first child, right?
it is the first one that I am birthing. I
Right.
have a 6-year-old son named Luke, who is fantastic.
Oh, he's a handsome little
He's
fellow.
very excited about the baby as well.
Oh, I'm
So
sure.
there's a lot of excitement around these parts.
Fantastic. Congratulations. That is awesome. So let's get into the nuts and bolts of things. I saw the list of things that you have under your credentials, cosplayer, entertainer, gamer. I'm going to give you a chicken and the egg kind of a question at this point. What led to what? Were you a gamer for a while and then decided to get into cosplay? Was it vice versa? How did that all fit together?
So, fun fact, all of this stuff, it'll be 2 years in October. October 19th, soon to be 2 years ago, I was still working as an education coordinator in real estate.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I'm not happy. This is not what I'd like to do. I'd like to entertain. I want to entertain for the rest of my life. And I ended up leaving my job October 19th, and I started doing cosplay. I was already cosplaying, but then I just kind of was like, oh, I'm just going to, do whatever and only take jobs in entertainment from here on out. And luckily, my husband was not like, you've lost your mind. So that's what I did. That day I decided I was going to, and honestly, pretty much since the day I decided to leave, I've had at least a job a week in entertainment since.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's great. And that's not easy in Los Angeles.
It is not. It is not. My story is not traditional in any way, shape, or form. So it was interesting to kind of watch the progression of what all happened. And I don't know. It was just really interesting the way that everything kind of worked out with the university and here. And the very first thing I did kind of professionally, besides going to conventions, was I played Lieutenant Uhura in the Library Bard. Now You Have the Bridge spot video.
Oh, right.
If you're familiar,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, so Bonnie Gordon and Xander Genere. Bonnie is she's on Callisto 6. They're both on Callisto 6. They're just amazing people. But they also were like, hey, will you be in our video? And I met Bonnie because my husband is a magician. And she was at the Magic Castle one day, and she's like, I've got this nerdy band, and we're bards. And I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever heard. Because we were talking about Doctor Who, and it's interesting now, how connected our worlds are at this point with gaming and everything. But it was crazy because she was like, I was standing on the set that day, and it was the first time I'd ever been on a set with a green screen, and I was playing Lieutenant Uhura, who was one of my icons in life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I was like, if nothing else comes of this, and it's also interesting because my grandfather was a huge Trekkie. He was on the Enterprise when he was in the Navy, and he was on the Enterprise the day that Star Trek premiered.
Oh, wow.
He was on a tour on the Enterprise, watching the Enterprise.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
And he had just passed away that January, right before my wedding.
Okay.
And so it was all these kind of kismetic moments, and then I was like, if nothing else happens, I want Nichelle Nichols to know that this video exists. And about the week the video came out, I was working a convention with Iona Morris, who was the voice of Storm from X-Men animated series, the good one. And all of a sudden, she's like, oh, who's at the booth next to us for the next 2 days? Nichelle Nichols.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So not only did I get to show the video to Nichelle Nichols and talk to her about all of these things that I always wanted to, like the fact that Martin Luther King kept her from quitting Star Trek.
Right.
Because he was like, hey, you are the first black person on television in a non-service role. We need you. I got to talk to her about that. I got to watch the video of me playing her with her. She's like, oh, she's got on my outfit. And I was also dressed like her. I was in my Star Trek uniform with Nichelle Nichols, watching myself play Nichelle Nichols. The greatest meta moment of my entire life.
That is,
and I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
That is it. That was the sign from the universe saying you are in the right place right now. And surreal as all hell, but yes, you're in the right place at right time. Oh, phenomenal.
It's weird. And then with gaming, last January, I always wanted to play Dungeons & Dragons. I tell the story all the time. I wanted to play Dungeons & Dragons, but it wasn't really something that one in the South where it's a jail, it's a devil's game.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just a thing.
I lived that,
But
by the way.
Listen, you know it's the truth. It's one of those things where, and if you do play, you don't talk about it, and no one's going to go, like, one, I'm black female. I'm not really having people jumping out the thing thinking, hey, you're a nerd. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Except, I think, the one person I had was my friend Lester, who I used to play, Dragon Ball Z with figurines. But I wanted to play, and a friend of mine online, Mobius, introduced me to Satine, and we went and had lunch, and she's like, oh, my gosh, Satine Phoenix is just one of the greatest people on the history of the earth.
Oh,
but
yeah.
she was like, hey, one day, if I have something, I'd love you to come play. Turns out the show Sirens of the Realm, so I played my first game of D&D live on Sirens.
That's amazing. So brand new.
Yeah.
Never done it before, and you're rolling dice, basically, essentially on national TV at this point, global TV when you consider it's the internet, with the extreme talent of Satine Phoenix.
Pretty much.
That's charmed. Life. I am slightly jealous. I'll admit right now. That's
Slightly?
Slightly, yes, but in a good way. But in a very good way.
I feel like for the number of knocks I've taken in life, I feel like it kind of balances out.
There you go. There you go.
The universe owes me at this point. Don't take that at me, universe. But still, it's one of those things where it's I've been, and that's why I don't take any of it for granted. I don't take for granted the fact that I am a high school dropout who was in alternative school for dress code. Let's not act like I was Billy Badass over here.
Right.
I went for dress code, and it was the South, and it was not I don't know. It was one of those things where also, I don't know if you know the statistics of being a black child in school, your skin color makes you look like you're inherently doing worse things.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. I dressed I wore a shirt to school that said gold digger, like a hooker, just smarter, because I thought it was hilarious.
Right.
And I got suspended for that. I got suspended for flip-flops. It was that kind of stuff where it was you're more worried about the fact that my skirt is short than what's going in my brain. So
right.
It's interesting. I don't take any of that for granted that, my life could have gone a completely different way.
Well, I can appreciate the story that you have. My mother was a school teacher in the city school district here in Rochester. She taught for 37 years. And she taught in the inner cities and some of the more challenged neighborhoods of Rochester, which, in a comparative speaking, you get some of the rougher neighborhoods of L.A. and New York City and things like that. And we're really, primitive and challenged light, but we still see the struggles of everybody, of all creeds and races and everything, all mixing together. And my mom would bring these stories home and tell me what she would experience. And so I kind of got an image, hopefully a much more open-minded image than some would have. And so I understand that there is just so much out there. And to be able to have that ability to kind of look back at it and say, okay, this is who I am, this is what built me, and now I'm taking that forward. It's an amazing thing.
And nowadays it's even more so. I mean, when I graduated in 1983, I was one of 55 white kids in the city school. And I could see the difference then, and it's gotten so much more divisive even now, I think.
Yeah.
So
it's good that
I think the issue is that we have to get to a point where we understand, instead of needing more discipline, there needs to be more mentorship. And there's also a very big difference in being able to see yourself represented also in schools. And to have, I can count on my hand the number of black teachers that I had. And it's not to say, that you can't learn from someone that doesn't look like you. It's just to say that, having a modern, and there's a thing with Malcolm Gladwell that he did where he interviewed a lot of, it's called Revisionist History is the podcast that he does.
Okay.
And he talks about sorry, not to plug someone else's thing.
Oh, hey, no, I don't have a problem with it.
But, no, I think it's important to know, inclusion is important. Diversity is important across the board, because you don't know that you can be a teacher if you don't see a teacher. You don't know, and it's so often, people don't know how to deal with you So instead of seeing how, like, you become more of a problem, instead of being like, how can I nurture this? Especially when you look at the overcrowding in classrooms where you're talking about 20-some-odd students to one teacher, and that level of frustration is something that I can't even comprehend and would not even try to. Like, that's just not my bag. I'm going to just do my kids and teach them the best that I can with the world. But I look at teachers, and I'm like, my hat's off to you. I mean, and it's not like they're putting more money into the schools right now as it is, and looking at like the growth of charter schools and that competition that comes up with that, and the money that's coming out of public schools. Man, I could talk about all this kind of stuff for days, but I'm not trying to derail your conversation.
No, you're fine. See,
like,
here's the thing: is we talk about pretty much anything on this podcast. I mean, we are a nerdcast. We are the quote unquote war arm of a comic book convention here in town in Rochester. But you know what? We talk about whatever is important to us because we know that it's going to connect with anybody out there, because these are things that need to be talked about. And I have a teacher sitting right next to me, and I know that these are the perils and tribulations, if I can make a Star Trek reference. I
like tribbles.
Tribbles are fun. But these are the things that I've heard you, Tanya, even talk about stuff like this. You are echoing things that I'm hearing Krystina talk about. So this is
she's echoing everything I've talked about. I mean, I started my teaching career as a regular education teacher with 25 to 30 kids in the classroom throughout the day. And I got my master's in special education, and now my classroom has 6 kids in it with myself and a classroom aide. And still, there's days where it feels like we've got 30 kids in the classroom where we're not able to meet all the needs of our students. I mean, they just went through their final exams over the last couple days, and I took money out of my pocket and went and got bagels and cream cheese and orange juice and chocolate milk for them before their 8 o'clock exam, because I know some of them were coming in without having any food. And see,
why are you in your pocket? That's what's sad to me.
Yeah,
is the fact that teachers are already vastly underpaid, and then you throw in the fact of like, there's kids like that aren't having lunch, that aren't having breakfast through no fault of their own. It's not like like in a lot of the cases, yes, the parents are out and doing the absolute best that they possibly can, and like to penalize a child with food and then say, oh, it's budgetary. It's like, no, children need to eat. Like this is important. We all know that breakfast is a part of the day, and then to have like, oh, like, well, we have subsidized lunching, but you have to be in this income bracket. But also sometimes that income bracket is just a little too off, and it looks like the parent is making more money than they are, because you're not factoring in the fact that that parent has to pay bills and all this stuff that's coming. And it's craziness to me.
Yeah, I agree.
Sorry, it enrages me because there's so much that's just like wrong with that statement. And the thing is, like, when I went to alternative school, to be in a place where I'm supposed to be in trouble, it was one of the best experiences of my life. It was smaller classes, because it's not like I went from being a student that was in all honors classes to all of a sudden I'm seen as troublesome. And to go to this alternative school where there's all these kids who are supposed to be a problem, everyone was worked with. Like, the teachers were able to focus, and everyone was in different grades and at different paces, but everyone, it's like, if you needed help, you could come get help. So I was finished with my work within like the first 6 weeks of school. I had nothing left to do for the rest of the year.
Oh boy! Because
I just was like, I'm just going to finish my work and be done. And I'm going to organize a Christmas pageant, and we're going to have a performance thing, and like, let us have this kind of leeway. And when I had to go, they told me I was going back to my regular school. I bawled. I was like, please do not send me back there. I was like, I do not want to go back there. I feel seen here. I feel like I can like flourish here. I went from a teacher who was always telling me that I was an idiot, and I had a 14 in her class in geometry, to by the end of the semester, I had a 99 in that class by the time I left. And I mean, she looked at me with just such like vitriol. I can remember it. I would never forget it until the day I die, how that lady made me feel about myself.
Now, where was this? Because were you born and raised in L.A.?
No, she said in the
She said something in the
I'm
South.
from Georgia. I'm an Army grad.
Okay.
Yeah, my dad was in the Army, so I went to school in Kentucky. I've been in all the school districts. I went to school in Kentucky. I went to school in Georgia, and it's it's very interesting. So ultimately, I just was like, I'm going to get my GED and be done.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just going to go school of life.
And that probably was frustrating for you, jumping from school district to school district,
Mm-hmm. Oh,
things like that, because when you finally got to the alternative program or the alternative high school or wherever you went, that teacher made that connection with you. And that's like the biggest thing, is developing those relationships in order to see the person as a person, that they are intelligent, and somehow that they were able to meet whatever need that you needed at that point. Like, in order to do your strengths, to be able to do that Christmas pageant or that holiday pageant and that show that you wanted to do, because it's more than just textbook type stuff.
It's right. I was just listening to Kevin Smith on his Smodcast podcast talk to Shepard Fairey. He's an artist. He's most famous for that Hope Obama, the
Obey.
Okay.
Yeah. And he grew up in South Carolina, where he couldn't get it right in the education system. His teachers seemed to be against him. He was constantly underachieving until he wound up in L.A., where he wound up with an alternative type school where he got the support he needed. And it was almost I heard your story and his that I just listened to.
Feels very similar.
It feels very similar until they didn't support his art or what he was doing until he found just the right people to
make that connection.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
And it's funny because those will be the same people now that'll find you on Facebook and be like, I always believed in you, liar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are always the first that are going to jump on and say, "Oh, how amazing you are." Were the people who are like, "No, you weren't." Now, did your education?
There are two teachers who are actually there are three, and I will tell you their names because they deserve every credit in the world.
Oh, shout them out.
Third grade, Dorothy Swanson, who is still sorry, I love Miss Swanson. Miss Swanson is one of the greatest teachers that I've ever had in my entire life, and she is still a very close friend. Miss Heidi Platt, who was my theater and drama teacher, and she cast me in Annie. She listened. To this day, I would give a kidney for that lady. And Marie Bernadette St. Clair, who was my creative writing teacher, and she literally took it seriously. No, you write what you want. And I wrote stuff that I probably shouldn't have been writing about in 10th grade. But she, that was the best honors class I've ever had. And, to this day, she, if I post a cosplay, she shares it. She's like, this is my dear Krystina, da, da, da. And it's those relationships, your kids will remember you.
Yeah.
That impact of a teacher is so important, hence why they need to be paid more money.
Yes,
but,
I agree. I agree.
They also, they shape and send out every kind of job person into the world. So to have that be the most underpaid, undersupported field, they don't have time to care about everybody. But it's also it's very important to realize that they need to they shouldn't have to. Sometimes my skin color or darker skin color are seen as they make people fearful because people don't know what to expect because they haven't been introduced to it. They haven't had that kind of diversity in their own lives. They don't have black friends. They don't have people that sit at their table that look different from them. And that makes all the difference in the world also for families as well, because that mindset of fear and fear of other, as long as that other remains other, there's no change.
And I think right there is kind of I feel like we're in a transition in our society. Right now, more people are recognizing that their minds, they may think their minds were open, but they need to be broader. They need to be more open. They need to see
that they still somewhat have blinders on to certain things.
I know personally I'm guilty of it. And that's my privilege, is basically shining through, is because I walk through my day and I'm at City Hall and I deal with people of all races and colors all the time. And I was taught from an early age, you don't judge a person by the cover. You don't judge the book. You never judge the book by the cover. And my grandfather was key on that. If you judge by somebody by the way he looked, he would actually go off on you. That's not the way to do it. It's not right. And so I kind of contented myself that, oh, no, you're very open-minded. You're very open-minded. But then I would find myself kind of finding that mindset. And now I'm getting better at recognizing it. I'm getting better at recognizing and saying, oh, no, you're not as open-minded as you think you are. And you really need to be broader and more accepting. But I think we're in that transition. But what's happening is that there's been a big, huge spotlight for the past couple of years put on just how far we haven't come as a society. And so it's kind of even more of a lesson right now is we're seeing who we are, we're seeing who we want to be, and we're seeing how far we've got to go to get there, I think. Do you feel like I'm off base with that one, Krystina, or do you see where I'm going with that concept at least, or?
No. I think the thing, I was talking about this the other day, is the fact that with social media, with camera phones, like, we've been telling these stories for years. Like, and so many people are like, oh, stop playing the race card. Why do you have to make everything about race? It's not. And it's like, no. Like, if I could just go through the world as Krystina Arielle, the fun-loving who I am, like, without having to deal with the bullshit, I promise you I would. But I don't have the luxury of that. And
no, you got to still fight and scrap.
See that, and it's like we're still like screaming at the top of our lungs, but now it's like, oh, like, I don't believe you because that's not my experience. But as more videos come out, but as people are seeing it, like, hell, if you want to see if this shit still exists, just go to my Twitter one day. Like, the level of, like, hateful things, and people are always like, oh, no, it's a troll. And I'm like, no, there are literal people that think like this. Because the troll, like, those ideas have to come from somewhere. Those ideations are built into our society. The systematic structure of what we are is, like, built on the backs of suffering of other people. And it's not that people want to talk about it all the time. It's just that we want people to understand. But then sometimes you share your experience and people are like there's people who are quote unquote woke, but they will talk over your experience. It's like, I don't want your opinion. I want you to hear my experience. Yeah. Then we can talk from there. But it's now people are starting to actually listen. And that's where the change actually comes, is not just listening, but helping to change it, but calling it out when you see it. Not just when your black friend is there, but calling those things out as they show themselves and stopping it. Because, and so much of it is learned behavior, and people don't even realize it, like that's just what they've heard at home. And they're like, oh, it's just a joke. And so often people are like, it's just a joke, it's just a joke. Well, your joke is hurting me. Right. Your joke is insulting me as a person. And it's like, I always like this saying, I'll respect your opinion as long as it doesn't disrespect my existence.
Yeah, that's the thing is, I've heard on several occasions, well, like you were just saying, it's just a joke. I was just joking, You don't get to dictate how I receive the information. You can go ahead and say whatever you think you're going to say, and you can be in whatever mood you think you're going to be in, but you don't get to dictate how I feel as a response to it. So there's times where people will throw those comments out there. Oh, I'm just joking. You don't realize just how much you just slapped me in the face. And you don't get to say that. And
your intent doesn't change the impact.
Exactly. Couldn't agree more if I tried.
And it's wild to see, like, now, like, people trying to shift that understanding, but just as much as that, as people are seeing that that's what we deal with, they're seeing that there's people who they've sat at a table with. There's people who they're related to who have these ideas that are extremely emboldened because they have a keyboard to hide behind and a president to hide behind to say the most hateful, vitriolic shit and say it like it's normal and acceptable. And it's so insane to me, especially like seeing people like on Facebook is like the number one place where I'm just like, do not go there. But just seeing people that I went to high school with, or like seeing parents of friends that I had who I sat at their table, I spent the night at their house, like talk about minorities in the nastiest kind of way. And it's like, yo, I wish I could regurgitate your food right now. That's how bad this makes me feel. That was 15 years ago. Yeah. But it's like people act like they're like, oh, well, that's just their opinion. No, this opinion is something that gets people killed. This is an opinion that leads to people being desensitized to children suffering and being in cages. Like, this is not right. No. Like, and it's done so many times in the name of, like, Christ's love, and like this is what Jesus would want. It's like Jesus hung out with the whores, Jesus hung out with the lepers, Jesus hung out with those who were other. Like, he wasn't out there like judgment. He would love people as they are, meet people where they are. And that's one of the things that we've forgotten, is to meet people where they are. It's not about where someone is, because I've been at my lowest. I've lived in my car. I have been the person that nobody would want to be around. To come to where I am now, that's why that imposter syndrome sets in very heavily, because you feel like still that person. But because people have been accepting, because I've had love, because I've been fostered in that, you can grow as a person. You can grow, you can change, you can be better. But we have to stop seeing this whole other situation is destroying us, because that feeling of being better and being above and feeling like if this person gets some more, then I'm less than. And it's no. Someone else's success doesn't take away from your success. Someone else having a job doesn't mean that was your job to lose.
Right. And I've heard that kind of a quote on several occasions, and you made a comment, because you and I were chatting through Twitter recently just to confirm for the interview, and you had made mention of that. And I love that line. Just because this person is getting the respect that they deserve doesn't mean that you're losing out. It doesn't mean it's being taken out of a pile that's in front of you to support this person. Everybody gets to share in that love and that acceptance. And I think that's the message. If any other message has to get across, that's the one, because we have so much greed, not just financial greed, but greed for attention, greed for ego, greed for position, that people don't understand that basic concept that just because this person who has been marginalized and shoved into the corner and berated and made to feel small, just because they're getting they're finally getting that chance to stand out in the open and say, this is who I am, doesn't take away from your identity. I think that's the best point I've heard yet.
There's a saying my brother uses, I have always liked, and I think it sort of fits in this position. It's blowing someone else's candle out doesn't make yours burn any brighter.
Yeah.
And it's a simplified way of saying it, but I think it fits.
It does. It does fit. So I'm glad you brought that up, Krystina. Thank you for that one. And it helps me appreciate what you've gone through to be able to see stuff like that. Now, I'm going to make a very jarring redirect at this point, because I think we can take a lot of the stuff we've been talking about for the past few minutes and kind of lace it back in.
How about those games?
How about those games that we were I love stuff like this, because people who ensconce themselves in their gaming and in online and watching Critical Role and watching all this stuff and being a part of the nerd culture, sometimes they can kind of use that as a shield to blind themselves to what's really going on around. You can kind of create a world around yourself, and you can mesh the people that are around you into this narrative. And
it just proves that people are more alike than they are different.
Seriously.
I mean, even
Absolutely.
Like I said, I was one of 55 white kids in a mostly black school, and I still had my group of nerds.
Yeah. And nerddom is universal. And now
it is 100%.
Yeah, nerddom is universal, and when you see it, people are like, there's the stereotypes, but there's also the odd man out, and I'll refer to Vin Diesel, Joe Manganiello, those guys who just you look at them, you're like, no, I don't see a nerd. Well, you're not supposed to. A nerd's just going to be.
Because a nerd doesn't have a look.
Exactly. Bingo. Now
the stereotypical nerd has a look.
Yeah.
That's once again falling back into. I've got told all the time, you can't be a nerd because you're this or you're blah, 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 or you're marginally attractive. It's just because my face is symmetrical doesn't make me any less good at games.
It was funny, like I said at the beginning of the conversation, I've been playing D&D since I was 18, I think is when I first played, and that was 31 years ago now, almost 31 years ago. Yikes, I'm old. And I remember the very first few games that I played for the first couple of years. We were in college, we're in the dorms, and it was 4 or 5 guys, and we're all entrapped in one dorm room, and we didn't want people to know we were in there playing. We just wanted to be left alone so we could do our thing. And I remember, I think it was my junior year, is when the first girl joined us, and we were like, ooh, this is a novelty. This is strange. Oh, we shouldn't let the girl in. And what a lesson that was. She was so much better at it than we were, and I think that's why we were so resistant.
We're rules lawyers.
She was so much better at it than we were. Well, that was the thing, is we had our own version of role play, and then you had somebody who was she was a theater student, and she came in, and boy, she schooled me. That was amazing. But it's how the evolution has transpired now. Tanya, to my beloved best friend here to my right, she's our current dungeon master. And she's going to be trying to kill me today, as a matter of fact.
I've been trying to kill the party for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You guys
I haven't been around.
Hey.
I've been busy, so I haven't been around to be a target.
No, Tyler. I'm tired.
Which child are we talking about?
It was my oldest one.
Yeah, your oldest.
Yes.
My oldest just graduated from high school. Oh, my God. Anyway, but, a lot of the stuff that we were just talking about in the core of this conversation today now transfers over into gaming, because we see this gatekeeping going on, and we see the judgment. The people who are entrenched in the culture are like, well, what can we accept and what can't we accept, and then they have to judge it. When the answer is it's not what you accept, it's how it should be. You've only been at it for a couple of years at this point, Krystina, but have you noticed that at all, or you've surrounded yourself with some really kind of wide-minded people?
You're funny. No,
looks are everything.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Gatekeeping is a thing,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, more of my gatekeeping is online because people are afraid of me, and no one's going to say it to my face.
Oh, absolutely.
It's one of those things where it still exists and it's still prevalent because people feel it's again one of those situations where people can feel like something is being taken away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, well, this was my safe place, and where were you when we were being mocked and in a basement? And it's like being mocked for different things.
Mm-hmm.
And some people, instead of taking that pain and using it to become more inclusive and to say, hey, come join us, they use it as, oh, no, like, this is mine. Like, you're not going to take this from me. And what about, I don't want all these people who are quote unquote cool. And it's like, you're cool too, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this didn't make you any less cool or uncool. Your attitude is what does that.
Right.
But people get very protective of what's been their safe space. And women, minorities coming in makes some people feel a type of way. Because it's even like people who are always like, oh, I hate the celebrity culture of D&D right now, and I hate this, da-da-da-da. And it's like, no, like, you love something, you want to scream that you love this thing, you want to share it with the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's how one would ideally think. But people are so afraid because of the judgment that they dealt with, because they were hiding in a basement versus, like, now people have basement dungeons that are cool. Megan Nello, the freaking beholder on the wall.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, but it's easy to want to keep others out when you yourself felt kept out. Like, now you are like, I control the gate, and I don't want anybody in, and girls can't play this game, and these people can't play this game. It's like, why? Why wouldn't you want your game to be more well-rounded? Like, I remember when we played with Matthew Lillard came on Siren, and he's like, I haven't really played with, like, a lot of women. He's like, that is like, you guys are, like, singing and making up songs, and, like, it's interesting. Like, people, you get so much more of a well-rounded adventure because you have people who have different experiences.
Yeah.
This is a game where you live experiences, where you go on adventures. So why would you not want to include people who might make that adventure more interesting, who might, instead of wanting to battle, be able to use wit to get you out of a fight?
Mm-hmm.
Like, those things are important, but that fear will keep more people out than it's going to invite in.
Can I tell you, Tanya, I love this woman the more I hear her talk. Mm-hmm. It's just the way to look at it. This is the way to look at the world. We have this huge swath of humanity around us. Why are we picking and choosing? You know,
I think people are afraid of what they don't understand, and so therefore they're just quick to shut it down and judge because they don't understand it. It's like, I know my mom on a daily basis will say, what's this about? Does anybody win? I'm like, well, I didn't die tonight, so yeah, I take that as a win type thing. But
you've been playing for how long, and she still asks those questions? That's phenomenal.
It's something that it's a different generation. She just doesn't get it. I mean, I didn't start playing until, I want to say, 92 or 93.
92, 93, okay.
Something like that. Because I know that's when we met, was 94. Then when we started playing at your mom's house or wherever we were. I think it was your mom's house.
It was my mom's house. I don't remember. It's all a blur at this point.
But I'm like, what is this? Because I had a sheltered experience, sheltered life because I was an only child. I grew up in the country. So I didn't know what it was, but there were people in my high school that played, but it was behind closed doors. It was that type of the stigma at that time. So it's like, but they're still...
Those doors are open now.
Those doors are open now. And I mean, my students call me a nerd on a daily basis. They're like, oh, you're such a nerd. I'm like, yeah, what about it?
Yeah,
I'm
proud
like,
of it.
I'm proud of it type thing. And actually, one of my students over the last couple of weeks, I had my Monkey Business hoodie on a couple Fridays ago. And he came in on Monday and he goes, hey, I listened to your podcast. I'm like, you did? He goes, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he rattled off. I'm like, what'd you think? And he gave me the thumbs up. This is a kid that normally doesn't communicate very much.
See, there you go.
But he went and did it. And they're like, he goes, you're a nerd. I'm like, I'm damn proud of it.
There you go.
Type thing. So
absolutely. What of it now?
Yeah.
There's so much to meeting people where they are, too, because you think about, even with D&D, like I wasn't going to be the person that learned from just sitting down with the book. Like I needed the experience. Like there's people who learn by seeing, there's people who learn by doing. But there's also something to like finding out, like when I sold cars. I told y'all I've done everything. It's weird. I used to sell cars. And so on my desk I had like a TARDIS and I had all of these things that were like parts of my interest. And the number of people who, like I remember everybody used to make fun of me for having that kind of stuff on my desk. But the number of people that came in and were like, hey, I want to do business with you because I can relate. Like, relating to people is such an underrated thing. Like, yes, we share this interest. This is something that, like, I see you more as a person. Like, to that kid, you became more than a teacher. To that kid, you became someone who understands probably a part of him that most adults don't. And there's so much to that, and just what understanding can do for people. We're
adopting her into our tribe.
I absolutely. Or if we're lucky enough, she'll adopt us into hers. So.
Hey. Oh, listen, once I talk to you, you're my friend.
That's it. Oh, I'm so excited to hear you say that.
I did friend you on Facebook today.
Oh, yay.
I think I did too.
I did see that. I was like, wait a minute. I said, like, I get very weird about Facebook kind of things. It's like,
that was me at the beginning.
Are you doing this to be mean to me, or are you actually trying to be my friend?
I would love to be your friend.
Yeah, I mean, because people that we interview and things like that, I want to get to know more about them and things like that. And I was watching the video of you dancing as Batgirl this morning.
We were watching that this morning and getting an absolute kick out of it.
I love her. I'm like, the Captain Marvel outfit. I'm like, she's part of my tribe.
That's it. I'm like, honestly, Krystina.
Funny.
Go ahead. Go ahead, hon.
Oh, no. Like, with me being pregnant, like, a lot of people were like, oh, like, that sucks that your career is over, that you're going to stop gaming, and you're going to stop dressing up in costumes because you're going to be someone's mom. And it's like, oh, yes, I have stopped to exist as a person. And when that was one of the things, like, even Greg Tito was saying when I played in The Descent, was like, well, one, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. It was very hard to sit for 2 hours straight with a human on your bladder, but I did it. And it's like, no, like nothing stops you. Like this doesn't hinder me. This makes me stronger. If anything, I'm filled with so much more righteous indignation at this point in my life because it's like, I'm going to raise the next generation of men. And I need to do good at it. I need to make sure that I don't stop speaking, that I don't lose my voice, that I continue to do the things that I love. And so if that means that I squeeze my 6, almost 7 month pregnant body into a costume and dance because that's who I am as a person, I'm going to keep doing that thing because it brings me joy. I'm not going to stop doing the things that bring me joy because I made a person. Actually, think about it, because I made a person.
Yes.
I've helped raise 2 teenagers, right? And they're both saturated into the nerd culture. My daughter, who just, like I mentioned on several occasions, she just graduated. She's going into a community college to start doing all of her core work. But her goal is she wants to, go to and get a degree in creative writing and learn theater, and wants to understand how to communicate thoughts and ideas and imagination to people. And I'm like, I couldn't have asked for anything more cooler than that. And my son, he's a video game nerd. He's going to lock himself in his room, play World of Warcraft for as long as possible whenever he gets a chance. But he also learns music, and he wants to share gaming, and he wants to talk to people, and there's not a single person on the planet he's afraid to talk to. You'll just anybody. So I hope that I've at least tried to do my bit to make sure the next generation is better off than the one that I'm a part of. So it's paying it forward, and you're doing that. You're paying it forward. You're showing people you're unstoppable, and I think that's fantastic.
Thanks. That's kind of cool to hear people say about me.
You gotta be, and it goes without saying. But if you ever find yourself in Western New York, you're absolutely invited to our table. We would love to have you on board with us.
Don't invite me to a table because I'm down. I jump at all opportunities to be like, yeah, I'm a game.
You will find that was not just a passing comment. That's not a joke. It's serious. If you ever find yourself if we ever actually get a chance to get you into a town for our convention, we'll set one up for you. We'll come up with a one shot or something. We'll make it happen. It would be nice to have somebody else for a time to just shoot at other than me.
No, actually, I want to play. Someone else is DMing.
Okay. Well, it'll probably be your husband. I think get Randy to.
You know what's really funny? And all of this kind of stuff, I've still never been officially invited to a convention.
Have you really? Never?
No.
Oh well,
no.
that just changed just now.
I've been on a panel like in a hey, will you speak on my panel? But never by a convention that's like, hey, come to our convention. So that's pretty cool for me.
Absolutely. No, we'll work it out if we can get you in. Maybe not 2020, but definitely 2021 if 2020 doesn't work out. But we'll Tanya is our VIP liaison, so we'll get in touch with you on that one. So we'll make it. We're going to say we're inviting you to our convention.
I am a very interesting person, Tanya.
I'm finding that out today.
Actually, the funny thing is, and these guys will tell you, I'm not a gaming nerd. That's one of the spots that I'm not strong in, and I think you're fantastic. I would love to meet you and talk with you. I think you're fascinating and really interesting, and would really like to meet you at our convention. So.
I think that's a thing. Billy's big thing is comic books and music.
Yeah.
Those are his two. Those are his catnip.
Oh, I can talk to you about those things. As one, a very great bard, also crowned by D&D Beyond Bard of Superior Inspiration.
Ooh.
Because I sang the greatest love of all at the D&D mixer for.
Strangely enough, greatest love of all, was that originally George Benson? No, he did on Broadway. Greatest love. Who did the original version of Greatest Love of All? Oh, I can't. There was a version before Whitney.
Yeah, Whitney's was a remake of the original, and I know who you're talking about. I can't think of the person. I think it was actually a female.
Yeah.
I know
I'm on it.
There goes Tanya. Tanya's got the computer. She's the one. She's Googling at this point. It's not Dionne Warwick.
No, Natalie Cole. No,
it was George Benson.
George Benson.
Was it George Benson? Because he's in town for a jazz festival this week. Yes.
Yep. She got it faster than me.
That's why I
Will Always Love You was a remake of Dolly, who I love because I ended up doing that play. I was in the best little whorehouse in Texas.
Oh, fantastic! That's a fun show to be a part of.
My first professional play.
Okay.
It was not the greatest because I had a love scene where I was upside down there's this great part of it. Okay, this is my favorite thing. If I ever hear the word intermission, I have to say it because it gets in my head. There's this part where the chicken ranch gets raided. They're like, and so they're off and racing, and now the shit has hit the fan. They caught that sheriff dead to right side negative watch off man. Right now we leave the chicken ranch in terrible condition, but we'll be back to tell you more right after intermission. And
oh, that's fantastic.
So
it's I need that now.
I love thinking about that memory.
That's a great one too. What are your current projects? What are you working on right now, other than brewing a baby?
Baking a baby.
Baking a baby. Brewing a baby.
Not brewing it.
You're not brewing?
No.
Baking? Bun in the oven.
Bun
That's a
in the
baking
oven,
reference.
so
Got it. So anyway,
baking.
Go without saying. So what are some of the things you're working on right now?
Right now, mostly working on making a human.
Yeah.
But I just did the show Starting Roll, which is with Gamma Ray TV. So I've got an interview coming out with them talking about my favorite game in the world, which was the first tabletop game I ever really had, which was the X-Men board game from 1992. And I also I'm playing another game with them on Tuesday. Sirens will be coming back soon. Satine's got a lot going on with Gilding Light. She is just everywhere. I don't know if you've been paying attention. She's got a new travel show that's based in fantasy with Stephen Portnoy.
Right. Yeah, I have been following her on Twitter on that one.
Yeah, she's the girl is a machine.
I get that. She's a very fearsome presence, formidable presence. I don't fearsome because I don't think she doesn't really want to cause fear. So
I mean, you've never been down to saving throws with her, so I'm gonna say that there's a healthy amount of fear.
Okay, fair enough. I'll take that. I will take that.
She almost killed me on my birthday.
So no mercy even on birthdays, huh?
She promised me. No, because she literally said to me before the game, "I won't kill you. It's your birthday," and I believed her like an idiot.
You fell into the classic blender.
And next thing I know, and I'm a cleric. My dumb self didn't think to heal myself.
Oh, jeez. Because you were that. Yeah, I've done that too. I've done that too. My current character is a ranger druid, though.
Heal myself.
I remember stuff like that.
My whole thing is I have second level spells.
Oh, that was Jules's thing. My daughter is, because I DM a game for my kids and some of their friends now because I'm trying to teach the next generation how to get into it. And we're doing 5th edition. And my daughter's playing an Elven Wizard. And in the last game, she actually said the sentence, "Oh, I've got a 3rd level spell. I didn't know." And I'm like, "Oh, here we go." You know
what? I've been there, done that.
Yeah, we all have.
I did realize that. And this was when we were playing, I think, 2nd edition back. I can't. So many eons ago.
I started with a red box. Yeah. Oh my god.
You're old.
I am. How I'm not gray boggles my imagination.
I don't know.
I gotta
I'm
tell
gray.
you.
But it was just like, just not knowing all the nuances and the rules and stuff at that point, and that the books are so wordy. And I was 3rd level, and I thought I had to be 4th level to get 2nd level spells, but I had just gone to 4th level, not realizing at 3rd level that I had those 2nd level spells.
I've been playing this game for over 30 years, and I could barely keep up with that sentence. And I just got flipped off. Nice. Okay.
But it was just a matter of we leveled. We got to 4th level. I'm like, yes, I have 2nd level spells now. They're like, Tanya, you had 2nd level spells last level. I'm like,
oops.
Oh. They're like, how much you been drinking? I'm like, I haven't.
So who else is in Sirens? I apologize. I have not caught up with that one as much. So you have Satine as the DM.
Satina's the DM. It's myself, Vivit Vidska, who is Ghost.
Okay.
Jason Charles Miller, who is Brig Hillclaw. We also have Kenley Shea, who plays Zaris. She's a monster hunter.
Okay.
And we have Kelly Lynn D'Angelo, who is also, she plays our Lore, but she's also the DM of Girls Guts Glory. She's also an extremely talented writer. She's written for My Little Pony. She's got a musical that just debuted in New York that's about Vincent van Gogh, and it's called Starry. And she, that was her, brainchild baby. She's, one of the most ingenious humans I've ever met in my entire life. She also played in The Descent. She was the kind of, I don't even know what to call her, but she came up on stage with, soot all over her face and a page boy and a crazy accent, and it was the most fitting thing. But, and also Cynthia Marie, who is on Sirens, but she's also on LA by Night on Geek and Sundry.
Okay.
So she, we've got a really talented group of people. But the funny thing is, even in the last year, from the, what was it called? Why am I drawing complete? I've got pregnancy brain, sorry.
It's all right.
But from last year's D&D Live to this year's D&D Live, just the growth of us as a family and our show and the progression and just the team as a storyteller and the adventure she sends us on, it's been such a growing experience. That show and that character will always mean the world to me because they're my first. That's my first campaign. That is my first experience with this family, and it's incredible to just I love those people. It's crazy. You look at your relationship, even I'm sure with Tanya, how much those people become your family. I did an interview with Brendan Lee Mulligan on an Adventure Academy for Dropout in College Humor a couple weeks ago, and one of the things we talked about is how fantasy becomes family. It's insane to think about how these people you may not have had a fully developed relationship with, you sit down at a table with for 3+ hours, and all of a sudden, you care about each other's well-being. You care, what their day was like. You are family. You have each other's back in this way. You are bonded as if you really did slay a dragon together. It's such a beautiful thing. And that sense of community that we get out of this game that we play, that this game could create this community where you, even in my online D&D community, I could have the worst day, but I'm sure people think I overshare to a certain extent on Twitter, but the thing is, we all are a part of each other's lives. And even with my pregnancy, like, it's such a big deal for me, like, being told I couldn't get pregnant and then getting pregnant and having just, like, this kind of experience. Like, I want to document all of it. Like, this is my
life, and I want to share it.
But, like, the support that I've gotten, because there's other people who have endometriosis who thought they wouldn't have children, who are hopeful through that, or who have had this same experience. And you find so many shared experiences with each other and this common ground online and at the table. And we've become this support system where I do refer to my online friends as friends.
Oh, yeah. I have several.
I probably spend more time with them because I don't leave my house.
I've been doing online gaming forever. I did text-based gaming back when I was in college in the 90s, and, you know, Mushes and Muds and all the little online role-playing games. There are people on the West Coast who I consider some of my best friends, and I've never met them face-to-face.
I was like that with Shelley Montenoble. I like fell in love with her on an interview, and I was like, "They're my best friend. I love you forever. You like Real Housewives too." It's like that. And also when I played World of Warcraft, that's the other little known fact.
Oh, yeah.
That was one of my first hardcore gaming experiences. But that was like I had to wean myself off that thing because
I just got Tanya addicted to it recently. Finally,
I hate Christopher.
Yes, because she finally knuckled in. What's it? It's been about a year.
It's been a year.
It's been a year
13 months since May of last year.
And so I finally, after 14 years of this game being around, I finally got Tanya into it, and now she plays more than I do. So I'm just throwing it out there. It's an observation. That's all.
Because everyone in the guild's like, "Oh, you're doing old stuff." I'm like, "You forget that old stuff is new stuff for me."
There you go.
So I'm 8+ hours yesterday.
I don't have a flying mount yet.
No, I'm trying to fly in Draenor. I'm working on that one.
I was the flying mount because I had the Sands of Time vial, so I was able to turn myself into the Sandstone Drake, and then I would just carry her around to various places so she could get the quests done.
That's okay. The other night, jumping onto the Sandstone Drake, I had turned into it in that Black Temple raid.
Right.
And I was coming through to go to that second boss. Doesn't one of the raid members jump on my back?
Yeah, of course.
Kept on going.
I'm going to be lazy. I'm going to catch a ride.
I'm just like, wait, is this how Chris felt?
No, see, because you didn't mean to. I actually did it intentionally so I could help you out.
I know.
There's a difference there.
But it was just funny because we came through the door to get up to the next monster. He jumped on my back and we kept on going, but I couldn't fly.
Oh, my God.
So.
Well, you know what? I could end up talking to this woman probably for the next 3 days straight. But
she's probably going to have to.
She's got
there's
things
a
to
little
do.
human sitting on
There's
her bladder.
a little human sitting on her bladder at the moment. Krystina, obviously, we're going to keep tabs. We want to keep in touch. We're going to wish you the best. A lot of love, a lot of success in your big adventure coming up in 13 weeks. We're going to be cheering for you from the cheap seats, right along with everybody else. This has been an absolutely amazing conversation, and I want to thank you again for spending some time with us this morning. I appreciate it a lot.
Oh, thank you guys so much for having me. It's something I've had it on my calendar and been looking forward to it. And I didn't even sleep last night because I was like, I'm just going to stay up till it's time to do the thing.
Oh, how'd that work out for you?
I'm tired.
Okay. Well, we're gonna let you get some rest, but I really appreciate your time, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again in the future. We'll keep in touch through all the usual social media channels. We'll be, like I said, we'll be cheering for you from the cheap seats. So this has been Krystina Arielle, and follow her on Twitter. Do you have a website, or is it Twitter and Instagram, things like that?
Yeah, and it's just Krystina Arielle, Krystina Arielle on all the things. I'm on the Twitters, I'm on the Instagrams. I have a fan page on Facebook. That's such a weird thing to say. It's like I hate calling people fans. It's like, just be my friend. That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like I feel like I'm not famous. I'm just like a chick that does stuff she loves all the time.
That's it. And we just want to share it with everybody. That's how we feel when somebody actually comes up and talks to us about the podcast and how much they've been listening to it and how much they love it. It's like, we're just wanting to share. We're not better. We're not above. We're just sharing. That's all. We just have this avenue and we're going to make the most of it.
I just love that. I'm like looking at the picture from Twitch from Betrayal at Baldur's Gate. I'm just loving the cosplay while you're gaming. She's in this white dress with a crown and great jewelry and everything. It's just like it helps you get into the character.
Oh yeah, we've done it.
Well, Ariza is very fancy. Even at I have this big full plush like Catherine Delish robe.
Oh, nice.
that I wore to like the Stream of Many Eyes, and I was like in a tiara, and I could, because there's of course one of my wondrous items is a cloak of many fashions where you can change your clothes.
Oh, cool.
So, but my character, she's an Asimar cleric bard, and for me that means she fancy.
Yeah,
she fancy.
She glows.
That's somebody who's going to get the point across.
This golden aura probably around her character.
She walks into the room, and my character's already making will saves, just automatically convert to her religion right there on the spot.
Well,
that's basically
it's kind of like my sorcerer on Thursday nights that has like the 28 charisma.
See,
at this
that's
point.
Pathfinder. That's cheating. I'm not going there right now.
that game's broken.
Well, well, we're in hell right now. The last game we went to, we're in Avernus, and so Satine and all of her all-knowing, I'm going to mess with you glory, she clipped my connection to my Deva, so I have no connection to the spirit world. I'm an Asimar with no religion in hell.
Just wit and will. You've got this.
I completely end up going blank. My character's just like completely lost who she is because she's got no like that structure that she always had. That Deva, like, because she would always get possessed by her Deva and send messages, but she never remembers the messages. But the party always hears the messages.
Got it.
And so now she's got no connection to the spirit realm in any way, shape, or form. So we're going to see how that goes. She's still cute, though.
Well, there you go. See?
They can't take that away.
She's still fancy.
No!
It's wit and will, and you've got this. We're cheering for you. We know you're going to be okay.
I am a Ravenclaw. Wit beyond measure is man's greatest treasure.
I'm a Hufflepuff, I found out. I always thought I was a Gryffindor, but then I was educated otherwise. When my kids did Pottermore, I jumped in and did my...
Ravenclaw.
You're Ravenclaw, yeah. Both of my kids are Hufflepuff.
Oh,
no.
we're meant to be.
My daughter is Hufflepuff. My son is Ravenclaw, which blew my mind because he never does his homework.
Yeah, I'm definitely a Ravenclaw.
All right.
My husband was a Gryffindor, and the whole time he took his test, I was like, Slytherin. And he was like, why would you think that? I was like, why should you be a Slytherin? He wasn't a Slytherin, and I felt bad.
Maybe he just channeled, not a Slytherin, not a Slytherin, not a Slytherin.
There it is. All right. Well, we're going to say our farewells. As you can tell, Krystina, I'm half Italian, so it takes me half an hour to say goodbye. It's just one of those genetic things. One of those genetic things. All right.
All right. Thank you guys again for having me. This has truly been a pleasure. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thanks for giving me the opportunity.
You are very welcome.
Care.
We'll talk soon again. Take care. She is phenomenal. That was phenomenal. Oh, my God, she's amazing.
Now I can't wait to go home and play.
I know. Seriously. I want to now.
Well, you haven't played in like 4 weeks.
I haven't played. Yeah, it's been like a month and a half since I played. Are we back in? My chat.
Well, we're still going to break. I'm finding just the right thing to bring us back. Hopefully.
Okay.
Oh, so we're still going out to break.
We're still going to break.
We're chatting away.
We're chatting.
Okay, here we go.
Wait. She accepted my friend request. Yay! Thank you, Krystina.
Guy writing the magic world of immigrants. Crooked Harry can't be trusted. Voldemort, great guy writing the magic world of immigrants. Crooked Harry can't be trusted.
There we go. I found Donald Trump being pro Voldemort for you.
Of course.
I tell you.
I just hit the button wrong. So now we're back.
Are we really?
Yeah, unless you want more music, I can.
No, we're good. We're
Here
good.
we go. Let's
We're
do
good.
this music again.
It's littered. Hang on. Littered.
It's a sing-along.
This is the time. This is the place. And this is FC3 Monkey Business. Your
Part
one-stop
2, 3.
shop for everything geeky. And
And
since
everything's geeky if you love it enough, you never know what you're going to get.
we are
Never
back.
know what you're gonna get.
We're going to get the intro again for the third part. Hey, I'm pretty impressed that I could do that one.
That
Can't
was
do
amazing, though. That was such
I
a
can't
great
do the
conversation.
outtake.
I loved it, to be honest with you.
That
I didn't
conversation
know
was-
half of what you were saying, but I loved it.
Oh, the directions that we took it in, were unexpected, but those are the best because it was just an actual conversation. We're not scripted or anything. Mm-hmm. And she's just so insightful on things because she can bring a whole different perspective. I mean, oh my God, that was a great conversation. That was a great interview. I had fun with that.
So the 7 pages of notes I typed up,
Yeah, they
did
were
absolutely no good.
No, I used half of page 3. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So,
No, and when she was talking partway through about like the three teachers that she could remember, her third grade teacher, and it was like, I was at the point where tears were going to stream down my face at that point.
Well, stuff like that,
because that shows that they made a connection. And it's just like the email I got from one of the moms this week from the
you were telling me about that,
and things like that, and how much that we have made an impact in his life. And I'm like, I've got kids that call me mom at school. I have a student that calls me math mom.
That's cute.
Math mom. I'm like, yes, math son. So
shout outs like that are the Oscars for a teacher. I remember my mom and how she would react when, down the road, the children she taught when they were in fourth grade were now in college and moving on, and they would look back and do their shout out to Mrs. Frank and just how much that meant to her. And it's like I said, that's the payoff. When you have changed somebody's life for the better, that's the payoff. So those three women that she called out,
thank you to them.
Thank you to them. I'm sure Krystina's probably said thank you to on several occasions, but on her behalf, thank you, because when you change somebody's life for the better like that, it's amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
It's a huge impact, and then they know they're going to continue to pay it forward.
Exactly. Oh, I feel like I feel almost like
you're coming down
anticlimactic just to jump into the business of things.
The
denouement, as it were. The denouement.
Let's go into our English terms.
We're now at the epilogue.
There it is.
The epilogue.
That's question of the week.
That question of the week is the epilogue. We've already hit the climax, and so now we're going to the denouement.
Climax.
Okay.
Really?
What? Never mind. All right. So we have an event coming up.
We have a couple events. First,
talk to me.
On Tuesdays. For the next couple of weeks, we have different game nights at the 585 Rockin' Burger Bar. We've had a card game night, and we've had a dice game night as of now. We're recording on Sunday, and this is dropping on Wednesday, so we had our dice game last night on Tuesday.
I caught the drunken video after the card game.
Slightly inebriated video.
I had a slightly inebriated of me trying to make sure that my camera was...
it looks like you guys had fun.
Oh,
we did have fun.
We did have a good time.
We did have fun. So come on down. They've got food specials and drink specials, and it's just... a really relaxed atmosphere. Come on in, bring any games with you, get to meet new people. And it's Tuesday nights. So I know on July 2nd we have specific board games. I think we're going to grab Ticket to Ride and a couple other things. And then July 9th is kid game night. So more geared towards families and kids and things like that.
Ooh, I know how to play Chutes and Ladders.
Yeah.
Do you have a copy of Chutes and Ladders?
I don't think I do.
Oh.
I have a copy of Forbidden Island. And it's a relatively newer board game, but I saw Will Wheaton playing it on Geek and Sundry with a couple of guys, and it looked really interesting. It's basically
we have it too.
I haven't played it yet myself yet, but the 4 players, 3 to 4 players, and you're playing against the deck of cards that manages the island. So the island itself is trying to kill you, and the 4 of you are trying to figure out how to work together to survive, to get off and escape.
It's kind of like a pandemic type
yes.
thing.
Yes, a lot like it.
So we have Pandemic Legacy, not Legacy. We have Pandemic: The Cure. We have Pandemic. We have Pandemic Cthulhu, where you all work together. So
those are our Tuesdays.
Yes.
And we have this relationship with 585 Rockin' Burger Bar over on Pixley Road, over by Tinseltown Movie Theater. And so Tuesdays are going to be game nights. We will be there, and we'll try to have some sort of a theme every so often. So dice, board games, kid games, whatever kind of. We'll have something going on at all times. So we'll see you there Tuesday nights.
And even more importantly, burgers.
And good food. Oh, my God.
They're chicken tacos. Because it's Taco Tuesday. So tacos are $2. So, but you got to get 3 of them.
Right.
So $6 for. So the chicken tacos were delicious.
You didn't get the garbage plate ball.
I did.
Chris did, and he's
they were fantastic.
He's
awesome.
like, I am never eating fried food again.
I couldn't. My arteries were hardened for the next 30 years.
And then there were deep fried Twinkies that you.
I love deep fried Twinkies.
I did have a taste of the deep fried Twinkie, but I didn't have like a full one myself.
Deep fried Snickers, deep fried
Twix.
I think it was Twix.
I had Twix at the State Fair once.
Yeah, I think they
deep fried Oreos are amazing.
I'm like, oh.
I've had those.
I had just a bite of the
Twinkie.
Twinkies are
creamy filling, and I'm just like, I can't do it.
I'm not sure Frontier Field still has the deep fried Twinkies, but they did, and now I want to go to a ball game just for that.
And they said out on their back patio, it's doggy friendly.
Okay.
Good to know.
So bring out your puppers and
tell me to bring Juno out for a social night is what you're saying?
I think we got to wait for her to be a little more... a
little bigger?
And less skittish.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing: is part of making her less skittish is socializing her. Yeah. So it's unfortunate.
Well, Tuesday would be a better.
Yeah, Tuesday because it's going to be a quieter night. You're not putting her in a throng of people. But
they do have.
I do want to work on socializing.
I think it was Dakota that came through the German Shepherd.
Mm-hmm.
I think his or her name
was
Dakota.
I remember that. Yes.
So she was beautiful.
Oh, yeah. And just a love machine.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
As a good dog should be.
So that's on Tuesday night, so we have gaming. And then...
July 27th is going to be a busy day.
During the day from 10 to 6, it's our 20th annual FC3 Minicon. I don't really know.
20th annual? That's awesome.
I don't know. What number are we on for?
I think it's the 4th. It's the 4th Minicon. We've done 4 big shows, and we've now done 4 minis.
This will be our 4th
This is our 4th mini. And professional wrestler Dalton Castle will be there, signing autographs and taking pictures from 12 to 4.
He will be there from 12 to 4.
Mm-hmm. Now, the Minicon is that Saturday the 27th from 10 to 6.
Because after 6 o'clock, you're going to move from Grease Ridge Mall
back to the 585.
To the 585 Rock and Burger Bar for our cosplay karaoke from 6 to 8 o'clock. And that's going to be on their outdoor stage. And that space is amazing.
It is cool looking. I like that. And then right after the cosplay karaoke is done, we're going to have the band Wicked coming in to play music until, 10?
No, I think midnight.
Midnight? All right. So you basically have a full day with the Mighty Monkey Corporation ahead on July 27th. So come hang out, spend some time at Minicon, see some people sing karaoke, and then come play and watch the band play.
The cosplay karaoke event is $5 cover. There's a 50-50 raffle. We will have raffles of all geek and nerdy type
and sundry
fan stuff. There is going to be a delectable dessert table.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe some fried Oreos.
Maybe.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Don't quote me on that.
I still want to know if I get to sing American Pie.
You could go into our Facebook page, or not our Facebook page, but our webpage to FC3ROC.com.
To
find our link to sign up for cosplay karaoke.
Okay.
So, but absolutely,
I
like to sing.
I know.
I'm not good at it, but I like doing it.
You know what? When Krystina was talking about Greatest Love of All from Whitney Houston, I was down in New York City, and I can't remember how old I was. But I went into one of those like little recording studios in one of the department stores, and I had a recording of me singing "Greatest Love of All" from Whitney Houston.
I believe the children are future.
And you know what? I am so off key that
let them lead the way.
He's on his roll. Let him go. Let him go. Just go with
George
the flow.
Benson's in town Thursday night. The Jazz Fest.
Will he sing that?
Yeah.
Possible.
I'm sure he will. It's one of his bigger songs.
Oh, I love that song.
All right, so moving on real quick. I have a
think
correction here that I got to jump on.
Oh, in regards to sponsors?
Yes, I saw that just
it's
now.
Not sponsorships. It's sponsors. But I think now we have sponsorships.
Well,
also.
yeah, to be on the safe side, I think Dan enacted that particular email. But going forward, if you want to sponsor us and you want to get involved with the Mighty Monkey experience, it is sponsors, plural, at fc3roc.org. Not sponsorships, because I was so excited to share that message that I didn't get the email right. But that's me. That was on me.
You didn't get the email?
I didn't get the email either. But sponsors at fc3.org, excuse me, at fc3rock.org. Sponsors at fc3rock.org. If I say it often enough, maybe I'll even remember it. So that's one of those things. So we have sponsorships. We have Patreon. The Patreon blog is about to start waking up a little bit more. We've been getting our regular reports from James Irish. Those are fun to read. I got to tell you, they're so much fun to read. He's a great writer. Now, speaking of writing, I'm going to be joining the Patreon experience.
Weren't you supposed to?
I was supposed to be doing the little blogs, but
so was I.
And I'll probably be getting back to that eventually.
He's had a busy year.
I've had a little, it's been a little.
He's had stuff going on.
I've had a little bit of occupation, but in the near future, I'm going to start posting little vignettes from that refer to a book that I've been working on for the past few years. So I'm going to be sharing some of my fiction, my science fiction, with our blog readers. So look for that on our Patreon the next couple of weeks because I'm going to start those up soon. I've been actually starting tinkering with a few of them when I'm not writing something else or not going to work or not taking care of the dog and not raising kids. When somewhere along the line, I've been able to start working on these.
When you haven't slept?
Oh, I never sleep, so it works out really well. When you have a 24-hour day, you get to pack a lot of things into it. It's kind of cool. You're not wasting 8 hours sleeping. So, all right. So, with that being said, we have events, we have business, and now this is the epilogue. We have our question of the week. Billy.
Yes, sir.
What is your favorite fictional mystery story, and why does it stand out for you?
Oh, this is the one I hadn't thought about too much. Can you have Tanya go first?
I will have Tanya go.
No, actually,
Wait.
I do have one. I did
All
think
right.
about it, and I do
Don't
have
leave
my
us in
answer.
suspense.
I
So
do
you have to
my
remember,
answer.
Billy has cats, and so that's, I want to be outside, I want to be inside, I want to be outside, I want to be inside. Oh, wait, I have an idea.
I've had lots of answers rolling
Are you
through
sure
my
that's
head.
not a dog?
Here's my favorite answer, my favorite mystery story.
Uh-huh.
Because it made an impact. It taught me how to solve mysteries. It's been a reference point for my whole life. Scooby-Doo.
Nice.
It's always taught me that the bad guy is old Mr. Wilkins at the amusement park.
And they would have gotten away with it
if it hadn't been for those
wasn't
meddling kids. It's a pop culture reference that always works. As soon as you mention meddling kids, you know that they solved a mystery.
So whenever there's been a mystery, the first thing we should do is call Arlene's Costumes and see what masks have been bought lately.
Exactly.
That's it.
So,
And then we all have to get into costume.
when I was a little kid, I think I was like 5 when Scooby-Doo first started on TV.
Mm-hmm.
So I literally saw every episode of Scooby-Doo first run.
That's awesome.
And so just even at that young an age, it made an impact. That's how you do mysteries.
That works. That works a lot.
And Encyclopedia Brown after that.
See, I remember reading those. Encyclopedia Brown, Nancy Drew, the Hardy Boys. I read all that stuff. How about you, Tanya?
I'm going opposite. I'm going to a short story. It's called Lamb to the Slaughter by Roald Dahl.
Oh, okay. Same guy behind James and the Giant Peach, The Great Glass Elevator, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Danny the Champion of the World. Great book.
It's a troubling story of a young Mary Maloney that her husband is a police officer, and she finds out that her husband plans to divorce her. Think of 1950s housewife type thing where you're always getting everything ready for the husband to come home and things like that. She loves her husband, but she's a little pissed off that he's now planning on divorcing her. So what makes it more of a mystery is we know she kills him. Mm-hmm. We know who kills him. However, when the police come in to investigate it, they can't figure out who kills them because she uses the leg of lamb that was frozen.
Right, I remember that story now.
To kill him, and it's been a Twilight Zone episode.
Or was it Alfred Hitchcock?
Hitchcock, that's what it was. Alfred Hitchcock, and it was Barbara Geddes played Mary.
Yes.
And so what the mystery is, they create the suspense on the police trying to solve it, and they're like, there's got to be a clue right underneath our nose. Well, they're eating it.
Yeah.
Because she cooks it up
for
dinner, and then she's like, oh, she was going to be mad and whatever. So, it was just, I don't know what it's just one of the ones that we read every year at work because it gets them to start thinking about how suspense is built up in this, and they're like, how can the police not understand it? How can they can't whatever? They're like, what about DNA? We're like, okay, remember this is like 1950s type thing. They don't have everything of today.
Yeah,
I think in today's day and age, I don't know if it would continue to stand up to the test of time.
No, I don't know.
With the forensics now,
right? You wouldn't be able to. I don't think you'd be able to successfully modernize that because CSI would come through with their ultra uber scanner thingy, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's lamb."
Blood.
Yeah,
and the blood going back to
the blood on the wound is not just his; it's mixed in with the frozen blood of a leg of lamb, and the lamb was from Kansas, and they'll tell you all sorts of things.
Yeah. So
all right, so we got Scooby Doo. We got, what was the name of that one again, Tanya?
Called Lamb to the Slaughter.
Lamb to the Slaughter, and who wrote that? Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl.
Roald Dahl. So we're sticking with the classics, Scooby-Doo, Roald Dahl, and then there would be my answer. It would be the very first mystery I ever read, and that made an impact on me because it led me to read everything else about this particular author, and that would be...
Is it Sherlock Holmes?
You got it. Study in Scarlet, the second Sherlock Holmes book ever written. Was it Study in Scarlet or Gang of Four? Study in Scarlet. I think it was the first, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, from 1887-ish, somewhere in that neck of the woods. But that it caught my imagination, and it was so cool to watch Sherlock Holmes and read how he kind of dismantled everything and picked it apart and figured out what was going on, and how he was able to see things. And it helped me. It helped me appreciate observation and looking at details and whatnot. And then I read everything from Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, and then of course Jeremy Brett portrayed it so brilliantly in the 80s on PBS, and now how can you not talk about Sherlock Holmes? And you got Robert Downey Jr. and Benedict Cumberbatch, so
yeah,
bring that character to life.
Is the one you just mentioned, that Jeremy Brett, you said his name, is it available on the streaming service so I could watch it? Because I
think
love
so.
Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah, this is Jeremy Brett played the classic 1800s, Sherlock Holmes.
Because I watched the Basil Rathbone, Nigel Bruce movies when I was a kid growing up. They used to show them on Channel 10 or something, or Channel 31 on weekends. So,
see, those classic movies were really good because of Basil Rathbone, but they always made, in my opinion, Watson look like a bumbling idiot.
Yeah.
Where he really wasn't. He was just maybe not as shrewd as Holmes, but he was no dummy by any stretch of the imagination. He was always right in the middle of things.
That's why Martin Freeman was so good.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was two men who played Watson in the Jeremy Brett series throughout the 80s and early 90s before Brett himself passed away.
And now there's that TV show Elementary also, which Susan loves, and I'll wind up watching it like when she binge watches it, and I'm like, it's not bad.
It's very
but it's
American.
Not good.
It's very American in its approach to how things go, and I like the actors, I like the characters, but the stories they're just too formulaic. It's just too American TV for me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm pretty sure they're on a streaming service. If not, I've been wanting to track down the DVDs. I'm planning on doing that one of these days. Maybe I'll put it on my Amazon wish list because then we'll talk about that at Christmas time again. So Scooby-Doo, Roald Dahl, Arthur Conan Doyle, and that's that. I think we're fresh out of show at this point.
There we go.
Are we good?
So our listeners, make sure that you comment on what your mystery story is.
Well, yeah, what your favorite mystery is. Let us know in the comments. I know Elizabeth Rice has been awesome about putting her 2 cents in, so that's fantastic to hear from her. Anyway, this has been Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic Con. Coming at you like a spider monkey with a mini-con July 27th at the Greenwich Center Mall, followed by Cosplay Karaoke and the band Wicked. Follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, follow us wherever we go, and we'll lead you where the entertainment is.
Dun, dun.
Look at that! I did it!
Yay!
At least one of us did.